Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about some NFL news and talking about how that relates to Dynasty Fantasy Football going forward. We're not necessarily just looking at this from a 2022 standpoint. We're also looking at this from a 2022 and beyond standpoint because this is a Dynasty Fantasy Football video. But before we can get on in to this NFL news, I would like to ask, if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure to leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get on to the video. So the biggest news from recently, a couple of days ago, it seemed like Calvin Ridley and all of that news was like going to be a huge deal that people were going to be talking about it for like the next week. And then just 2 days later, it's been basically erased by the fact that Russell Wilson was traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos. Pete Carroll came out a couple of days ago. He was like, oh, there's no talk about trading Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's going to be our quarterback. And then a couple of days later, he's gone. Right now, he's the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. So in this trade, before we kind of break this down in terms of Dynasty Fantasy Football, in this trade, the Broncos received Russell Wilson and a 4th-round pick. The Seattle Seahawks got Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, not 1, but 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a 5th-round pick. So in terms of fantasy football, when we're looking at this, for Seattle, to me, the quarterback situation is now wide open. I understand that they just traded for my main man, Horsecock Drew Lock, but seems like, not everything. The reason why they got Drew Lock in the trade isn't necessarily because they believe that Drew Lock is a franchise quarterback, but it's like, hey, we can get Drew Lock. Maybe we see what we got out of him. Maybe he could be some nice competition for the potential quarterback that they end up drafting in 2022, or maybe in 2023. Maybe they use Drew Lock as more of a bridge quarterback here, and they just go ahead and play him for maybe this season. Or again, he may just be some competition for the new quarterback that they end up bringing in. While Noah Fant is also a player that a lot of people talk about, Noah Fant is a pretty popular, prominent name in terms of fantasy football and Dynasty Fantasy Football, but he never really elevated himself to be a part of that upper echelon tight end crew. Meaning, when you talk about Noah Fant, you don't really talk about him with the guys like Mark Andrews, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Darren Waller. He is just not in that sphere. Now, does that mean that Noah Fant is some shitty tight end? Of course not. But what I mean is that he never really reached his peak there in Denver that a lot of people thought he could have based upon how skilled and athletic he is. But now that he is in Seattle, he went from Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater to fucking Drew Lock again. Things aren't looking much brighter for Noah Fant. Now, again, do I believe Drew Lock is going to be the guy going forward? No, but I am just not all aboard the fact that I think Noah Fant is going to have this heavy usage in Seattle. I just don't really see it. I would even go as far as saying that I am nervous about the fact that I don't even think he may even finish as a top 12 tight end in fantasy football, and finishing as a top 12 tight end isn't even fucking hard at all. It's not like finishing as a top 12 running back, finishing as a top 12 quarterback, top 12 wide receiver. No, it's not like that. It's relatively easy. And based upon what we've seen out of Noah Fant, we haven't really seen this true consistency, right? He'll have these big boom games where it's like, wow, that's why the Denver Broncos drafted Noah Fant. And if you're a fantasy manager, you're like, oh shit, that's why I drafted Noah Fant, right? Based upon this game. But he never really had that consistency. And I just don't know in his new home in Seattle if he will actually find that consistency. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett also just got hit with the 1-2 punch. I don't think Tyler Lockett is necessarily in Seattle's plans. Maybe he'll even be gone this offseason or prior to the NFL season. Maybe gets traded at the trade deadline. But DK Metcalf, a guy that just a couple of days ago I talked about how I didn't love DK Metcalf. I talked about how DK Metcalf is ranked highly. He's young. He's built. The guy's huge. He's a great player, but he's not necessarily in the correct situation. And now going from Russell Wilson, who I kind of want to make it clear that I am not the biggest Russell Wilson fan. I think Russell Wilson, not necessarily overrated, but I don't think he's one of the best 5 quarterbacks in the NFL like a lot of people are making him out to be. Even with that said, DK Metcalf wasn't amazing with Russell Wilson. So imagine what he's going to be with Drew Lock, right? It just doesn't, I'm just not excited about DK Metcalf. Would I trade him? Maybe if the price was right. But again, I think with Russell Wilson being gone, all of the the prices of these guys have just went way down, at least in my opinion, even though some people still try to talk themselves into DK being a top 12 guy going forward. Maybe he will be once Locke is gone, but I don't know. That does definitely worry me. In terms of the Denver Broncos, this is a humongous boost for all of the key players. Am I going to rank Jerry Jeudy or Courtland Sutton as top 12 wide receivers? Fuck no. No. Why would you do that? In my opinion, that's a little bit crazy. But what I would tell you is that Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton definitely get a big boost up in my mind going from Teddy Bridgewater to Russell Wilson. Again, I don't really think Russell Wilson is like top 5 amazing quarterback, but he's certainly good. So that's a big boost for Jeudy and Sutton. Albert O presumably is going to be the new tight end. That would be a boost for him as well. The running back situation. Now, I think Melvin Gordon is going to be gone. If Melvin Gordon is back, then I'm going to backtrack basically every single comment I made about Javonte Williams potentially being a top 5 running back going forward, at least for 2022. But if Melvin Gordon is gone, man, oh man, this team is going to be fantastic for fantasy football. And I'd be even more confident in Javonte Williams. And I was already very high on Javonte Williams, as you guys know, if you watch the Dynasty running back rankings video. So let me know down below in the comment section what you guys thought about this trade. Who do you feel won this trade? Because I feel like instantly everyone always has these hot takes, right? The Broncos are all in. They're like the LA Rams. They want to fucking win right now. They want to be this. They want to be that. And people are like, oh, the Broncos clearly won this trade. Maybe 5 years from now, Seattle, while they lost Russell Wilson, they draft one of these new quarterbacks. He becomes great, and maybe Seattle won this trade. So I don't like to necessarily plant my flag and aggressively say one of these teams won the trade. But before we get into the next set of news, I would like to let you guys know that our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, is known for their NFL best ball tournaments. However, Underdog doesn't stop there. Underdog has plenty of other contests for you to compete in, including live draft contests and pick'ems, which you guys can make up to 20 times your entry. Use promo code Awesemo. Again, promo code Awesemo on the screen at the bottom right there, and you will go ahead and get a first match deposit bonus of up to $100. Please make sure you guys get started on Underdog Fantasy today. If you play NBA, there's also a bunch of NBA contests as well. So the next set of news here is Mr. Discount Double Check, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers will be staying with the Green Bay Packers for at least one more year. Now, initially, it came out from either Rappaport or Schefter that this is going to be a 4-year, $200 million deal. Rodgers says that is not true. Rodgers tweets that he will be on the team next year, but nothing has been signed yet. So next year. So that doesn't sound like a 4-year deal to me. Maybe that's what it comes out to be, though. I'm not too sure. So this came as the Packers franchise tagged wide receiver Davante Adams. When it comes to Aaron Rodgers' value, I would argue that there is really no way at all for you to even tell how long this man is going to be in the NFL, because they could easily go out there and win the fucking Super Bowl and he retires. Or maybe they choke again in the playoffs and maybe he doesn't retire, he comes back, or maybe he goes to a different team. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if this is a one last ride, the last go scenario, or he's in the NFL for the next 5, 6, 7 years, right? He's still playing at MVP caliber, so I don't know why he would sit it all down, but Aaron Rodgers just seems like the guy that will just randomly at the end of the year just say, I'm gone, pal, and just leave. So again, this could be a one last ride scenario, could also be 5+ years, 6 years, maybe that ends up playing in the NFL. My best guess right now is that he will end up playing for multiple more years. I'm just not too set in stone that they're all going to be with the Green Bay Packers. This news also completely just eviscerates any ounce of value that you could potentially try to get out of Jordan Love. I don't understand why the team drafted Jordan Love. It makes them look even more stupid as we're sitting here now in 2022, 3 years after Jordan Love has been drafted, and Aaron Rodgers is still there. Jordan Love hasn't shown much, and so his value won't increase. His value is just decreasing, so just hold him if you have him. But in terms of the rest of the team, again, Aaron Jones, his value is kind of going down, but that has nothing to do with Rodgers. So basically, any players that you previously liked, there should be really no change on that. Again, Rodgers could leave at any moment, but it seems like at least one more year for Aaron Rodgers. Chris Godwin was franchise tagged. This is the second year in a row that has happened, so that obviously, I assume Chris Godwin's fucking pissed off because when... Oh no, he's so pissed, right? He got $18.42 million fully guaranteed, right? But he's probably pissed off because he wanted that long-term extension, which they're still looking for. Without Tom Brady, I am certainly lower on Godwin right now because of the uncertainty at the quarterback position and the uncertainty on which team he is going to be on, but I wouldn't look to get rid of Godwin. If someone is really scared of Godwin because of the quarterback situation, I would definitely look to acquire him. Tom Brady could also just come back. Now, I understand that it seems like he's probably gone, but even the Bucs haven't just slammed the door shut on if Tom Brady's going to come back, so I think it is entirely possible that he ends up suiting up for the Bucs, maybe even this year. Next news here, Dalton Schultz was franchise tagged. It appears that this team is going to look, the Dallas Cowboys that is, to part ways with Amari Cooper and keep Michael Gallup, which seems like the complete opposite of what everyone thought going into last season. With that said, I think Dalton Schultz is the main guy there at the tight end position, and if they don't end up bringing in another receiver like to kind of fill the role of Amari Cooper, obviously that's going to help out Michael Gallup, but that also does help out the upside of Dalton Schultz. If he is able to get a real deal, get a legitimate deal here, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up inside the top 5 at the tight end position multiple times across the next couple of seasons with Dak Prescott. Breaking news, as I'm fucking recording this video, Carson Wentz has been traded to the Washington Commanders in exchange for mid-round picks. Yikes. I'm going to be honest with you. I have always kind of been on the train that Carson Wentz is overrated. Extremely overrated. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'd rather play Taylor Heineke than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is not very good. Just looks like he's lost all confidence, played like shit against the Jaguars. To make the playoffs, you can't even beat the Jaguars. Now you're going to the Commanders. I mean, maybe it's a step up from Heineke, right? Maybe I'm just being too rude to Carson Wentz, right? I hope his fucking feelings aren't hurt from this, but look, that doesn't excite me. That really does nothing for me. Carson Wentz. If it was Jimmy, I'd get more excited for Jimmy G than Carson Wentz, and I'm not even some type of huge Jimmy G stan. So interesting that broke while I was recording. Next up, Mike Gesicki. Mike Licky on my Gesicki has been franchise tagged coming off of a fantastic Chef's Kiss Magnifique 2021 campaign. It makes perfect sense that they franchise tagged him in Miami with the new head coach Mike McDaniel. I expect that Gesicki is going to take an even further leap, especially if they don't bring in another wide receiver, which I hope they do as a Dolphins fan in the draft. Final news, which is what we talked about right at the beginning of the video. Calvin Ridley was suspended for at least 1 year for gambling on games in 2021. Calvin Ridley allegedly bet $1,500 last season. Who knows how long this suspension is going to be? Who fucking knows? Because they might suspend him for even longer. Because to me, I think a lot of people are looking at this. They're like, oh, he wasn't playing in the games, blah, blah, blah. This is something that is so stupid to do. I was watching a Pat McAfee video on this. It seems like every facility, they make it so clear to you that you should not be gambling on these games. It makes people think who bet on the games, maybe this shit is rigged. Maybe the players are in on this. Maybe the players are making money. It is stupid to do. Calvin Ridley looks like a fucking idiot in my book for doing this. But he was only making parlays, blah, blah, blah. Still stupid in my book. Why are you doing that? Just don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not that hard. It's $1,500. Why are you betting $1,500? You lost like $11 million. What are you doing? But with that said, some people might be fucking scared. They might be shitting themselves. They might be pissing their pants, thinking, oh man, Calvin Ridley won't come back. I think Ridley will be back after a year. I think they're going to make an example out of him, and then they'll bring him back. But if this was like some crazy where it came out that, oh, he was betting on games he was playing in, he was betting on his under yardage, he was running backwards and stuff like that, then things are going to get really bad. Then he's just done, right? There's no way he comes back after that, but that doesn't seem like what's happening. So if you can trade for him with this price on the low, I would look to acquire Mr. Calvin Ridley. Thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. If you did end up enjoying, make sure to hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. And if you would like, follow me on Twitter at NotoriousFNTSY. I love you guys all so much. Have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, goodbye.